Hey, what's good, people? This is Sports Debate Tuesday. This is episode 52, and the episode starts right now. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. I don't know. Okay. Look, I wore this hat in the beginning because I'm just trying to show my people and people that think, people who jump on the bandwagon and jump off like some other teams when they win or lose. I stand tall with my team, but now that they out, I'm going to just wear this one time, salute, take it off. Now I got work to do. I wear it more if they were still in there because it's about cheering for the Bills, but they ain't nothing left to cheer for, at least for now. Fans are going to cheer them at home. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun, but we have a job to do. Welcome, people. Welcome. Episode 52, Sports Debate Tuesday, along with Rob, Keep It, McLean. I am yours truly, Jason DeBiss, and we have the usual amount to cover. Football, mixed martial arts, a little bit of basketball. Buffalo Bills lost. They got romped by the Kansas City Chiefs. Conor McGregor, maybe ring rust is a real thing, or maybe not. Bunch of great upsets. You call Joanne Calderwood, and of course we got shame or no shame. We got quick question, but first things first. First of all, how are you, Rob?
I'm good, man. Everything's good.
I like it. All right, let's go. Topic number one. The Bucs defeated the Packers to win the NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers, 31-26. In a game with a slew of great plays and an even more disturbingly heightened amount of dropped and tipped passes. In a game that had coaching genius and just head-scratching coaching mistakes. Let's start off in a general way. Your thoughts and your reaction to the Bucs winning 3 games on the road, finishing and beating the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely surprised being that the weather was as nice as it was. That they came out, scored on the first drive. The Packers scored as well. And then, it was just – I thought it was a really good game. It was Tom Brady playing some fantastic football. And, Aaron Rodgers, I think that team, it's really tough for me to pick the Packers going in the playoffs because they always seem to find themselves down or behind at the right times. And no matter how well they play towards the end of the game, third quarter, they're always trying to climb back. And against a guy like Tom Brady, it doesn't matter what team he has. Like if he has a lead, especially a large lead for most of the game, like he's calm, he's ready to go and perform when it really matters. If you're fighting back the whole time, no matter how good Aaron Rodgers was this year, and no matter how good he was that game, you're just fighting an uphill battle. Talking about the rest of the the coaching, I thought that Bruce Arians, we talk about how bad LaFleur coached, but I thought Bruce Arians coached a phenomenal game, super clean. They had a great lead mid-game. They did they might not have scored more, but they took a lot of time off the clock, kept Rodgers off the field as much as they could. And again, like we said last game, I think the most underrated thing here was, the Bucs defense. Again, they had so many turnovers against one of the best offenses in the league. And they honestly made the offensive line and probably the protection calls of Aaron Rodgers look like elementary because they were all over Aaron Rodgers all day. And then going to what you were saying about tip passes and drop passes and interceptions, I think that goes back to great defense on both sides. I think they put pressure on both quarterbacks. The secondary covered very well. And, they had to run more of their routes to get open. That leads to a quarterback running around trying to fit in tight windows. So I thought it was a great game. And, I'm happy with the outcome. And I'm glad that Tampa Bay is coming through.
Yeah. Well, before I get to my reaction, highlighting what you said about the defense, I thought Raheem Morris, is Raheem Morris the DC on that team? I'm trying to remember. Should probably get a head coaching job in a couple of years. Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaquille Garrett, the Ndamukong Suh. I mean, there's nothing that spells nightmare more than Aaron Rodgers, or that makes Aaron Rodgers see Tom Brady ghost, or tap dance in and out of the pocket like the late Gregory Hines, as Stephen A. Smith would say, than Jason Pierre-Paul. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 15-1. He knows who Jason, and the Giants beat him, so he knows who Jason Pierre-Paul is. He knows who Ndamukong Suh is. Ndamukong Suh is, I mean, played for the Lions, who's their rival, who loves nothing more in life than to make quarterbacks eat dirt. So it's just some weird ebbs and flows in the game that I couldn't explain, that I can only look back retrospectively after the game was over, and I watched it a second time just to see. Rodgers was 11 of 12 on his first 12 attempts. And the one that he missed was a throwaway. He had to throw it away before he got sacked. So it's almost like a one that shouldn't count, but it does. But they're down 14-7. And when I saw him down 14-7 and he hit 11 of his first 12 passes, and his numbers were tight in the half. It was a continuation of that. I was like, there's a problem, and I don't even see what the hell is going on. Both Brady and Rodgers. I'm not going to use drop passes as an excuse for Rodgers. I'm not going to give him a pass on that, because for every one pass Devontae Adams dropped, or the 2-point conversion, there were passes off of Mike Evans' hands that were just tipped, and one got tipped and intercepted, and one he didn't even finish running the route, and that got intercepted. So that, I just call that a wash. I call that in poker we call that or blackjack we call that a push. Now, everybody says when you have two great quarterbacks, Rob, it's going to come down to the end. It's going to come down to the last few plays, and we're definitely going to cover the elephant in the room. Coach Matt LaFleur choosing not to go for it on 4th and goal, and electing to kick the field goal. Some would call that coaching stupidity, and some would call that understanding the feel of the game. And we will repair that on to shame or not to shame. Other examples of the coaching stupidity was LaFleur on the kickoff. Instead of just kicking as hard as you can to the end zone and saving time on the clock, I think it was 2:08. So they had the 2-minute warning, and they had 3 timeouts. So instead, he kicks inbounds, which is stupid, because if you kick inbounds, the guy returning the kick can burn off the seconds on the clock. And then if it gets to the 2-minute warning, you lose something we affectionately refer to as a de facto timeout. But and an even stupider move, the guy who received the kick did a baseball slide and gave himself up with 5 seconds left. So now with 5 seconds left, they go 9 yards, 2nd and 1. And now you got the 2-minute warning, and now you'll have your 3 timeouts. And then in all of this guy's stupid moves, he comes up with something really, really brilliant. He tells his team to jump off sides and get an encroachment penalty. Because defensive penalties stops the clock. You give Tampa Bay first down, but it's 1st and 10. And now you can manage your 3 timeouts. Because if it was 2nd and 1, Tom Brady's gonna get the first down on 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, and you have no more timeouts, or you have like maybe 18 seconds left or no time left at all. So I thought that was a brilliant move on Matt LaFleur's part, or whatever coaching staff. So that's kind of my reaction. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to use LaFleur as a scapegoat on this. Rodgers on several occasions, and you heard him say, "Please get the ball back for me." When they missed that 2-point conversion, please you got to get this ball back for me, and they did. And then he was 3 and out or whatever, gave it up again, and then they got it back again on an interception, on an overthrown ball, a ball that Tom Brady didn't even get hit on the throw. He saw a ghost and just flung it. The guy just went by him, and it was a classic Tom Brady versus New York Giants Brady ghost, and so. I don't put it on Matt LaFleur because Aaron Rodgers had multiple opportunities upon his own request. His defense got the ball back. And to Matt LaFleur's credit, they were a pass interference call from getting the ball back on 3rd and long. But that was a pass. And they did let both teams play, Rob, right? But when you can see on a highlight reel, you don't have to zoom in. When you can see the guy's shirt when you can see from like
Mm,
50 yards away, it's you don't want to call it, but you have to. I mean, you don't want to call it because you know the tug on the shirt didn't slow him down, and you know that the ball wasn't considered catchable, which I think is just a stupid rule. Holding's holding, but that's my reaction. Brady, congratulations to him. At the end of the day, the better quarterback won. And that's really all I got to say about that. Brady, by the way, is going to his 10th Super Bowl in his 20-year career, 21-year career. Take away the year that he got hurt in the first game of the season, just call it 20-year career. He's been to the Super Bowl half the time of his career. So it's out of a 20-year career, he's been to the Super Bowl 10 times. Or he's going to the Super Bowl
yeah,
10 times.
that's pretty
The rest of
crazy.
his team combined, the rest of the Tampa Bay Bucs combined are going to 9. So he has more he's going to have more Super Bowl appearances than the rest of his team combined, which is ridiculous.
He's going to
So
have double than his team combined.
yeah, I honestly I like
More
Bruce
than
Arians.
that.
I thought they're going to play keep away ball on that third, the one that got called for PI. I didn't
Hmm.
think Brady was going to drop back and throw that ball because if he misses, the clock stops and you give Aaron Rodgers more time and the timeout. So I honest to God, thought that they're going to run it because Fournette didn't get a lot of yards. He only got 55 yards. He got a score. He got a Benny Bone at the end, but he got necessary yards when you needed him. So go ahead,
See,
Rob.
for me, I'd have to say this. Like, I just think, and I get why Aaron Rodgers is at least contemplating getting his way out of Green Bay because I just don't think this team is created to win. When you look at their defense, their secondary played phenomenal, but their front half played pretty average. You have your run game who've got two stud running backs. They both had 5 and 6 or 7 attempts apiece. Yet like we're saying with the Browns, they were hitting 5-6 yard averages. So when you have all the tools to use, but for some reason it's not working. And I agree with you. 11 out of 12, and you're down
Yeah.
7-14. That's a really bad sign.
Do you think they
I
were
thought
impatient? Do you think they were impatient because they were
no, I
behind?
don't think they were
They didn't make a
impatient.
lot of
I
running attempts because the total amount of
it
attempts between those two running backs you were talking about, and I'll give you back the floor, was
right
13 between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. 13 total attempts, 13 total touches. Go ahead, Rob.
right right. So it's like and you could watch when you're watching the game. They were trying that Kansas City was doing a great job shutting down the run game. So they kind of just abandoned it, and their offense became one dimensional. And it's tough because when you do that as a team, even if you get back to the running, you're almost like telegraphing what you're doing, and it puts a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, the way that game felt, I was very impressed with Aaron Rodgers and the offense for making it that close.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think that. I thought it was going to be a blowout. Second, third quarter.
Yep.
I really didn't feel like the Packers were going to come back. They made some great plays, coaching or just players, whatever.
His
Um,
numbers were really good, dude.
that's what I'm
He's
saying.
33 of 48,
Yeah,
346 yards. He got a touchdown, 3 touchdowns. He got 1 pick. His passer rating was 106, 108.6. I mean,
you know,
any coach that would be ecstasy for any coach, and for Rodgers, that's a normal day, or better than, or slightly better than normal day. And that's where. Do you think that's where his frustration's coming from? He's probably thinking, what
absolutely,
more could I have done to help win this
absolutely.
game? you know,
I
Did,
mean, I think it was kind of just a part of the season too. Like they had, as well as their record ended up this season, it wasn't smooth sailing. 2 years ago, smooth sailing, but this past year, regardless of the record, it was not smooth sailing. Like
Mhm.
they were, a lot of games could have been decided one way or another. They lost some really big games that they should not have lost. That put a lot of pressure on the team
Mhm.
in the season. So a lot of these things where a pressure situation comes down, you need to win this game. What happens? I didn't really feel very confident in the Packers pretty much since week 7, maybe.
Right.
So it's I just think that it's been a lot of years where Aaron Rodgers said the same thing. People are saying what's going on. He's had that whole relax thing. He had so many things to tell people like I'm staying here, I'm good, but he's 37. At some point he's got to win a Super Bowl. At some point he's got to win more than an NFC, conference game. We got to get there. So
Good problems for the man. One more question before we go to our next topic, Rob. Third and goal It's going to be Sedway to our shame or no shame. Third and goal. I think he had an opportunity to run, and he threw across his body to Devontae Adams, which looked like a double or a triple teamed. Would you Monday morning quarterbacking here? Do you think he should have run? He should have ran for it.
Absolutely. I saw that play too, and
Yeah,
I thought that it would have been the best decision to make because
yeah.
even if he didn't make it in, he would have been at the 1 yard line, somewhere close to that. And
I think he
you
would have
can you
made it
can do
in.
something.
I think he would have made it in. Look, Rodgers
Me too.
has a lot of rushing yards, and maybe not. It's because he moves like Lamar Jackson or Daniel Jones or some of these guys who are just ridiculous speedster. He's got Mahomes speed. He's got Mahomes speed where he's got his first step is good. And that first step, like in a 100-meter dash, he might lose the 100-meter dash, but out of the starting block, he's going to beat you the first 10 yards. So, and I thought distance-wise and like his first step, yeah, he would have beat both of those guys. I mean, there's a whole lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda, but that's what this show is about. So, and we'd be remiss. It would be podcast malpractice if I didn't pose that question. Cool. All right, Rob, let's go on to question number two. Topic number two. Kansas City Chiefs romped, stomped, punked, exterminated, beat down the Buffalo Bills. My Buffalo Bills in convincing fashion, 38-24. And the question is, was it great Chiefs or bad Bills? I'm going to go first on this one, Rob. I got to go with great Chiefs. I got to go with great Chiefs. I would like to cite as a pretext before I give my answer. I thought the Bills were going to – I always knew the Bills were going to go to the playoffs from the beginning of the season. The coaching direction was going good. I knew they got Diggs. Now they got a deep threat, and I knew Allen wasn't going to get worse as far as his completion percentage on deep balls. It was only going to get better, and I was thinking like 11-5. You know what I'm saying? 11-5. Miami is going to be good. Maybe they'll battle them for the top spot. Hey, they beat the Rams. You know what I'm saying? They escaped it with a pass interference call. They got that win. They beat Seattle, which I didn't think they beat Seattle. Next thing you know, 11-5 is 13-3, and they overachieved. And I knew styles make matchups. I knew they beat Indianapolis. I had my reservations about the Ravens, but I'm riding the down with my team the same way you and I picked the Buffalo Bills last week to win this one. So, with all that being said, and congratulations to the Bills, and Coach McDermott still deserves Coach of the Year. If you look at the tail of the tape, like if you're an MMA guy and a football guy, and you look at the tail of the tape head to head, you got Mahomes against Allen. Against their respective defenses. You got Kansas City's defense against Buffalo's defense. Their back four, the defensive backs are really good, but they're gonna have to do some repair at the linebacker or whatever, which is why they do so many nickel packages. You look at the wide receiving core of Kansas City versus Buffalo's wide receiving core. We have a one. They have fucking 3 ones. Not just curse, but that's all right. Travis Kelce is 1,200 yards receiving. Those are not tight end numbers, okay? And the only thing that makes him not the center of attention is because they have the fastest mammal live on 2 legs in Tyreek Hill, who scorched the Buffalo Bills for 177 yards. So, not to mention that Buffalo's got a good coach and they got a good defensive coordinator with Frazier, but you got Bieniemy, who should be a head coach. You got Steve Spagnuolo, who's one of the greatest defensive minds. They got everybody in that sideline. I'm not making excuses for the Bills. I'm praising Kansas City for them having all the tools. And when you have all the tools, they expect you to win. And everyone expected them to win. I mean, in my heart, I went with my heart, not with my head. So I got to go with great Chiefs. And I got to tell you, if they play the Tampa Bay Bucs the same way they played the Bills, Tom Brady's in big trouble because – listen, the leading rusher on the Buffalo Bills was Josh Allen, okay? He rushed 88 yards, but because he had to. Tom Brady ain't escaping that pocket.
Yeah, I mean...
So as to the question.
Yeah, so I mean, to the question of good or bad Bills or Chiefs, I think it was more of inexperienced Bills and, like you said, great Chiefs. Like, Chiefs played exactly how they're supposed to play. We finally got to see Patrick Mahomes maybe not doing the most wild stuff all the time. You get running out of the pocket, making these crazy plays. Like, just stay in the pocket, be a good quarterback, and you're just going to dominate the league. And that's what he showed. Like, if he could just settle it down just a little bit, kind of in the Steph Curry syndrome where, you start shooting threes that are 40 feet, you're not going to get the best 23 footers down.
No doubt.
So now that we have Mahomes playing real good football, I think they're unstoppable. I mean, that Chiefs defense looks so quick, so fast. I mean, all over the quarterback.
He was
Yeah,
under
unbelievable
duress. I
Chiefs.
mean, I'm amazed at the Bills' protection. I mean,
Right.
there were things where he was under duress and he had to run, but he did have protection. But even when Allen had protection, all of the receivers were covered. Because Allen's, if he sees something, he's just gonna throw. They were just covered. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. And Allen made some great throws too. I thought
Hmm.
the offense didn't play bad. They
Yeah.
just anytime it was like clutch time, they got to make a play. You had an extra 2 or 3 guys coming in, and Allen just can't get away from that. So,
Mm.
and he did really well. He got 88 yards off it and some good chunk runs, but
Yeah.
yeah, very very difficult to play against that team.
Yeah.
But I also thought just like how the Patriots kind of not the Patriots the Bucs kind of got on the top of Green Bay pretty quickly. The same thing happened with the Bills, but in the opposite way, where the Bills kind of just let them do whatever they did first, like throw your knockout punches or your best punch, and then we're going to throw our best punch and see who. And I don't think that was the smart play, but what can you do really? I thought they should have probably blitzed more with Mahomes, especially coming off the concussion protocol. Just blitz him early. Play some coverage deep, make him make some decisions underneath pretty quick, pretty early. But hey, I thought it was a good game towards the end. And like we were saying, if you're down the whole game, I think the Bills played a really solid game. If it was 0-0, maybe 3-3, 7-7, 10-10 in the first
Yeah.
half,
Yep.
it would have been a great game. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, maybe
Kansas
if
City
they
just too
maybe if
good.
they went for it on 4th and goal instead of kicking the field goal. I mean, that's one of those things before the half. Not to mention the untimely interception that Josh Allen had that could have put them within one score, maybe 8 points or whatever. So those are things that, and the reason why I say good Chiefs, because even if they go for it on 4th and goal and get it, and even if he doesn't throw a pick in in the red zone, I still think the Chiefs win. That's weird. I still think the Chiefs win that game. I didn't like the chippiness. I didn't like the extracurricular. I didn't like them. They hit someone, the guy's out of bounds, and then they ride him all the way out of bounds, and the referee doesn't do anything. I don't like when the referee's blown plays dead and people are getting suplexed. I didn't like at the end the thing that just boiled over the straw that broke the camel's back was when Allen got pushed back and he's got his free arm and maybe he thought he should have threw it or whatever. But once the ref blew the whistle dead, the other guy comes in and hits him. So when Josh was on the ground and threw the ball, the guy, that was for anyone listening, that was the rationalization. There's no excuse for it, and he's young and he shouldn't. And in the NFL, whoever hits second is gonna find out. But that's what happened. It was something that they have to know you're gonna go against teams like that, and sometimes the refs are just gonna let them play, and they can't lose their cool like that. I mean, and it happened at the end, making it less relevant. But there are gonna be games in the future where they're like, oh wow, this is how we could get to this team. This is the blueprint. Now the teams, it sends a message to other teams, and they're gonna have to whatever. But listen, they got a bright future. They got a young quarterback. They have a diva receiver that doesn't act like a diva. He loves getting the ball, but he understands the game, and they got a great connection. Here's a great picture of Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs in this picture, the Buffalo Bills already shook hands. They're already going back to the locker room. He was the only player left on the field where Coach McDermott had to go back out and get him. But when you see something like that, that's not grief and hurt. I want to take a look at what this looks like because we'll be back, and you haven't seen the last of us.
Mm.
I go way back. I was a wrestling head back in the day. Stone Cold Steve Austin facing Bret Hart in Madison Square Garden for the first time. Now we know the results are fixed, but the stunts are real and this and that. But Stone Cold had him in something called the $1 Million Dream or something like that, some kind of sleeper hold, and Bret Hart used that and manipulated their weight, and he didn't let go of the hold, and Steve Austin ended up pinning himself, 1, 2, 3. But at the end, Stone Cold was leaving the ring, and Bret Hart's still in the ring, and he just stares. It's like this 30-second thing, and I'm like, and the storyline, they were just trying to show the audience that, wait, this is not just a one-off of two good wrestlers. This is just the beginning. And that was the first, I'm silly, but that was the first thing I was thinking when I saw Diggs looking at him. Like, The same message to anyone who saw Diggs on that field. You haven't seen the last of us. This is just the beginning. And congratulations. We're not picking winners this week. We're going to do that next week. Last week we were both 0-2. Our total record, we're still knotted at 8-4 for the playoffs. So
coming for that win.
Wow. Wow, dude. Yeah. Oof. All right, topic number 3. We veer away from football a little bit and we move to mixed martial arts. We must be making Meryl Streep upset. Remember a couple of years ago, she's like, if we didn't let immigrants in the country, there would only be football and mixed martial arts, which, by the way, isn't an art. Meryl Streep, you ain't going to like this show. Oh, and by the way, you're stupid, because if you look at all the UFC champions, where are they from? Are they American? No, they're from other countries. So we didn't let immigrants in the country. We wouldn't have MMA either, right? Think about it. Right? Who's the 155-pound champ just retired? Khabib. Where's he from? Right? Who's the greatest freaking female mixed martial artist and a 2-division champ? Amanda Nunes. She's from Brazil, right? So Valentina Shevchenko lives in Peru, but's from Dagestan, I think, or Russia. So get out of here with that nonsense. Football, whatever. You got me. Football, you got me. Moving on to mixed martial arts. All right. UFC 257, another great card. I love having these pay-per-views where like two of the fights, you have these relative unknowns trying to make a name for themselves. And Rebus, I seen Rebus fight, man. She was really good, and Rodriguez was just put it away, dude. Great call, Jaren Calderwood. We talked about constant pressure and how she like outworks people, but you were right. She outworked her and she was more talented. I didn't know, and I didn't see that. I think where I was right, I called the 2 fights. I called No, we were both wrong about Poirier and McGregor.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no way.
And I called Chandler because I followed him very, very closely at Bellator, all the way from when he was feuding with Will Brooks to Eddie Alvarez. That was like match of the year. That was the only like match of the year that wasn't a UFC match. And it was weird because his right hand is deadly, and I know when people feel his power that they become hesitant, but it was actually the left that caught him. So the question, Rob, and I'm giving you the floor first, which was the bigger upset on this card? You can answer from an MMA purist or enthusiast perspective, or from a casual fan perspective, however you choose to do it. Which was the bigger upset? Was it Chandler beating Hooker, or was it Poirier beating Conor McGregor?
I mean, honestly, I just wanted Hooker to beat Chandler because I hate guys just getting a free ride into the top 5, into the divisions where all these guys work in. Yep. So I was more of I just want him to lose. But, obviously Chandler's on a way different level than Hooker. So I don't really see that as much of an upset. I just, I wanted that to happen. But, yeah, talking about McGregor and Poirier, I think it's the most the biggest upset just because I was just incredibly surprised that Conor really didn't want to check the calf kick. That's like MMA 101 at this point. In the modern day, if you don't know how to defend against a calf kick, that's how you lose. And that's Paulo Acosta. That's anybody pretty much that fights against Volkanovski or Anderson,
right?
Israel Adesanya. It's just the modern day jab for MMA. I feel like is the calf kick. So pretty upsetting to me that's what kind of brought Conor out. But yeah, he was really just not focusing on that at all, and that just broke him. And yeah, once that calf kick landed 3 or 4 times, it was a done deal. So yeah, bigger upset were Conor McGregor for Dustin Poirier, but I think it just kind of opens that division wide open, and we'll get to see a lot of really interesting fights. Chandler Poirier for an interim fight would be
or
awesome.
Even Conor off the loss, who will fight next? Are you
Yeah, true. I mean, Conor and Chandler would be interesting, and Poirier maybe fight a Khabib again to, run that back. But
Conor and Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
I mean, Tony's in there. I think Oliveira is a big wild card.
He's there.
I think
he was ranked ahead of Conor in the rankings. I guess because of activity.
Rightfully
right?
so.
Yeah, well, activity says a lot, right? I mean, Poirier is ranked ahead of Conor, who Conor had beaten half a decade ago. But if you look at the win-loss record since Connor's been 6-2 and Poirier's been 10-2. So so activity means everything in the world. Yeah. So that was your bigger upset, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Connor
I'm
and
yeah.
Dustin.
Yeah, well, this is supposed to be a debate show, but I absolutely refuse to go the other way for argument's sake. You know me, I like to argue for its own sake, but I can't do it. I can't in good will do it. I mean, Chandler is the one I picked, so I don't consider that an upset. Chandler was a 125 plus 125 dog, finishing inside the distance even was 360. I really wish I put some money on that because I knew. I mean, why is he a bigger dog inside the distance when the way he's I mean, and I had an interesting stat about him. I believe he finished, excuse me for a second, it was 22 wins, 17 finishes. So, and before there were submissions. And now he's just, he's a wrestler that fell in love with his right hand, which is the reason why you picked against him, rightfully so. I mean, if you're a wrestler that falls in love with your right hand, you're gonna lose, a decision.
But he's more than that.
Yeah. Well, yep.
He's more than that.
He's become more than that.
But it's funny, like I'm pretty sure, like isn't he a southpaw? But his power, like it looks like he fights southpaw.
No, Poirier is a righty that fights lefty.
Yes, no, I know that, but I'm saying Chandler, it just because even when he was chasing after, he's throwing right hooks, but it was from a left-handed stance.
I wonder.
So
I'm gonna
feel
check
like
it.
he is a lefty.
Yeah, well, it was the left that actually put him down and was kind of the beginning of the end. He looked like he's going to go for a guillotine choke, and then was like, wait a second, what if he escapes and
Overhand
recovers?
left.
Instead, you saw him like jump off the guillotine and just started doing this, just started punching him in the face. So, yeah, I got to go bigger upset Dustin Poirier, but at the same time, I'm not going to give Conor a pass on ring rust. There's something about the way that Conor loses, when he loses his fights. You don't make excuses for him. Conor makes excuses sometimes. Oh, I had a bad day, I had to heal this or whatever. But if you look at all of his losses, look at Diaz. He hit with Diaz with everything under the kitchen sink. All right? It didn't drop Diaz or didn't beat Diaz. Diaz was there at the end. So there's something about taking Conor's best shot. You're still standing there. And then when it's your turn to hit, and if he crumbles, or gets TKO or gets submitted, to me, that's a clean victory. You can catch Conor in 13 seconds, right? Or whatever, and then people will call that lucky. I'm okay with that. You can, Conor escaped with that decision with Diaz. I wasn't okay with that, but some people are okay with that because that was a 5-round war and the judges this or that or whatever. But there's something about Poirier ate some left hands, dude. Poirier ate some left hands that dropped, the same left hands that dropped him in 2014 when Conor dusted him off and, in under 2 minutes the first time they fought at 145. But he ate some shots, and you put it in slow motion and it looked even more ugly. You're like, how the hell? Man, MMA fighters are just special people, man, because I'd still be out. I would still be out. I'd be in the hospital if someone hit me like that. No, I'm just kidding. I got a strong chin. But so I give Dustin the credit for it because you really, really took it. You took it from me, the leg kick. Because when people come in, they dive in with punches against Conor, who already has a reach advantage. So he did 1-2, finish with a leg kick, or just a 1 and a leg kick, or just a slip in left, and then leg kick. So when Conor tries to counter, he's not there. And he did make a mistake a couple of times. He's like, okay, I got hit. And you know what? Cool. I ate his shot, and I'm still here. But at the same time, be smart. I ain't gonna, I don't think I'm gonna take 8 more of those. And that was the advantage he came in with. And Conor beats a lot of people because people watch video of Conor and is like, oh, I'm not gonna fall for that left hook Larry crap or whatever. Or he punches hard, or he drops midgets. But then you get in the cage with Conor and you feel his power. And when you feel his power, there is this nervousness, and all of a sudden you have to compartmentalize what your game plan was. And Poirier had that advantage. He felt his power and at 145, and he knew he hits hard. So it was one of those things that it didn't. If that was the first time he fought him, it might have shook him. It shook Eddie Alvarez, right? It shook Eddie Alvarez so bad, Conor had both hands behind his back. He already knew he was going to win the fight, So Poirier ate it. And like you said, that front leg, man, because Connor's one of his things is not just his left hand, but kicking people in the gut, like body kicks, stabbing that gas tank that he did with Chad Mendez and a lot of other fighters. You take that lead leg away. You know what you do? You take away that spin and roundhouse stuff. You take away those cheek kicks or those or leg kicks or those front body kicks or those roundhouse body kicks or head kicks, and maybe some power from that left hand. So now, you know, Connor's had trouble
Well,
against lefties. Think about all of his losses were against left-handed fighters. So
yeah. I mean, lefties. He's also one, so that
yeah,
happens a lot where lefties beat lefties.
yep,
The other thing though is when you're talking about them taking losses, I think Connor is one of the best losers you could possibly ever have. As much like trash as he talks,
no,
he
yep,
was one of the most grateful losers I've ever seen. And gracious, because I really do believe, a lot of people, they're, very disheveled and are unsure about what's going on. And that's kind of what he was at that point. But you could tell as like the most raw that, um, he's been like at least on the air. And then on top of that, that he really wants to, fight and be here and do it. So, more ups to him. He doesn't have to. He can literally quit or retire right now,
yeah.
and not. But it's a passion. It's an art for him. So that's what drives him, and that's what keeps him the person who he is. So
Yeah, I
more up to
mean,
him.
he's always humble and defeated, especially after he loses. Maybe a couple of days he'll talk about energy efficiency or he might talk about injury, but he's wise enough to wait a couple of days because you wait a couple of days, people don't think he's making excuses why he lost. It just comes from a place of self honesty. Like energy efficiency, when Nate Diaz was an honest answer. You know, his foot being jacked up against Khabib, that was an honest answer. But I mean, in reality, he wasn't beating Khabib because nobody's beating Khabib. Okay, Conor strives for perfection, but when it came to Khabib, there's only one thing perfect, and that's Khabib's win-loss record. Um, Poirier, great victory, good boxing, and I saw. Didn't it remind you a little bit when he fought Gaethje? Like Gaethje hit him with some hard shots, and then Gaethje kind of gassed. It looked like Gaethje gassed himself doing that, and then Poirier just slipping in and out with that boxing, with that technical boxing, and then eventually scored the knockout. And he did it. He did the same thing with Alvarez, and it looked like he did the same thing to Conor. And that was that man. Good win for him. Good win for
Yep.
him. I was gonna cry, man, but I did all my crying when he won the interim title, and he said I paid the price with my blood, and the price is paid in full. And people, anyone that's paid dues like him, where you finally get to the end, where you finally get some respect, you feel for him because no matter what your job or career or what you do in life, you strive to get there, and you get looked over and you get passed over, and you face these disappointments and these obstacles, and when you finally get to at least not to where you want to go, but to a point where you're like, I paid my dues, and now everybody recognizes it. He says I paid with my blood. I paid the price. It's paid in full. God bless that dude. Wow. God bless that dude. Yep. Hey, man. Good stuff, baby. Good stuff. We're going to go to a quick question in a minute. But before we go to a quick question, of course, we got to go to my favorite thing, which is called to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Okay, Rob. To shame or not to shame? Elephant in the room. Got to talk about it. Green Bay. Fourth down, fourth and goal. You can go for it. Get the 2 point conversion. You tie the game. Or you can kick a field goal. Matt LaFleur goes for the field goal. On Matt LaFleur, the question is, shame or no shame, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely shame. I think just like we were saying before, just a rookie coaching mistake where know your team. Your team may have a great secondary, but there's no way that that front eight is gonna stop that team for 2 first downs. It's not gonna happen. You put all your chips in the basket of your best player. You give Aaron Rodgers the ball to score in 6 yards. I'm pretty sure he can make that happen. If not, you don't get all the flack. But at the end of the day, he made his choice. I think that he was going for the win in his eyes, and that's what it was.
I'm with you, Rob. I gotta go shame, and I'll tell you why. If it was not four down territory, the first person that needs to know that is Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers said in the post game interview that if he knew they were gonna kick, he would have dialed up a different audible for third down. So if you're gonna go if it's four down territory, if it's not four down territory, you gotta let your guy know. He's got to be the first one to know. And I'm not going to make theological leap like everybody else did, that, it cost them the game. He's the reason why they lost. I'm not going to go that route because Aaron Rodgers begged his team to get the ball back, and they got him the ball back multiple times, and he had multiple opportunities. One can also make the argument that first and goal, he had three opportunities to get in. If he was going to get in, he was going to get in one of those three times, particularly where he had enough daylight. He had enough. I mean, if he ran for that last thing, there was no one within 10 yards of him. You could do a zoom in on NFL films, and it would look like he's on the NFL field by himself. That's how close the next.
But even still, you get a 4th and 1, fourth and goal at the 1 yard line, and you get it or you don't get it, you still have the opportunity to get the next team on a safety, or like in the next 4 plays, or when they punt. So,
well, he's playing a perfect scapegoat. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Right, because if he lets Aaron Rodgers go, right. Go for it, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't get it. Aaron Rodgers got to answer all these questions Monday morning. It'd be the first time that nobody will blame the coach,
Right.
But man, some dumb moves at the end. Kick the field goal. For me, if I'm a coach, Rob, and you're gonna say the same thing, if I'm the head coach of that team, Aaron, take us home. In fact, I'm the first as a coach. I'm like, Aaron, this is first down territory. This is four down territory, and it kind of sucks because there's no guarantee they're going to get the 2-point conversion either, but you put yourselves in that position. Aaron put them in that position. So it should have been his right for them to bail them out, in retrospect, everything Matt LaFleur did would have worked had not for the pass interference call. They would have got the ball back, and they wouldn't have needed the 2-point conversion because they already kicked a field goal. And I see how he was trying to set the ultimate stage for Aaron at the end, but I don't know. And that's why I give him a pass as far as him being the reason they lost the game. But no, I got to go with you. Shame, shame, shame. So now, Rob McLean, we move on to our next to last topic. Quick question. Quick question. Mm-hmm. All right, Rob, we're going to go through a coaching lineup. All right, these are thumbs up, thumbs down question. Quick question, Rob. Saleh, new head coach of the Jets. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
I go thumbs up. First Muslim American head coach in the NFL as a head coach. Quick question, Rob. Arthur Smith for the Atlanta Falcons. He's the former offensive coordinator for the Titans.
No.
I go
down.
Thumbs down. They don't need an OC. They need a defensive-minded coach. Quick question, Rob. Urban Meyer with the Jags. I'll go first on this. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Gonna get Trevor Lawrence too. Get out of here.
Honestly, I'm just gonna I don't want to be too crazy with this, but I'm gonna say thumbs down just because a lot of health concerns, and I don't think he's gonna make it past 2 years in the NFL.
Yeah. Urban Meyer, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Trevor Lawrence. What? You're gonna take that kid's bacon? What's the matter with you, Rob? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Brandon Staley is the new head coach of the Chargers. He's former defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Yeah, I'll go thumbs up. I don't really know him very well, but I didn't really like also what the Chargers. I think the Chargers did really nice. Some stuff they did this year with the rookie quarterback. So who knows?
Yeah. I go thumbs down. I go thumbs down. If you're going to fire Anthony Lynn, you have to replace him with someone that you know is going to be significantly better.
Very true.
Quick question: Eagles hire offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni as the Eagles head coach. Nick Sirianni was the offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Me neither.
I don't get what that organization is trying to do, and it's been before this coach as well. So I don't really I don't like anything they're doing.
I go thumbs down. Quick question: thumbs up or thumbs down? Lions. Detroit Lions hired Dan Campbell as the head coach. Campbell is currently the assistant coach, the assistant head coach and tight ends coach for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like it. I've heard of Dan Campbell. I think he's a good facilitator, and I think it goes to the point we were saying about the Browns that sometimes it's not necessarily the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator that's next in line. That's the best head coach. It's the guy that can put all the pieces together. So yeah, I think I like it.
I go thumbs up. He's an old school go getter. You know what I'm saying? He talks the talk and he puts himself in a position where if he walks the walk, everybody likes him. And if he doesn't, Detroit's going to be the most unforgiving city and he's going to be gone too. They have not, they've only been to the playoffs twice, I think, in like their 60-year period or whatever, or one playoff win in 60 years. You want to talk about cripple franchises? I mean, God, you couldn't even say that about the Bucs. All right, so now, quick question. Now that we went through all these head coaching hires, quick question: who on this list would you take before Eric Bieniemy?
Uh, you're saying, like if I had a team,
All the hires I just gave you.
yeah.
All the thumbs up and thumbs down. Who would you take? Which one of these guys would you take over Bieniemy?
I mean, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about that same thing, and I was wondering why all these teams would pick any of these coaches up before him. Very interesting. I don't think I'd pick any, honestly. I think that he's that guy in line to be, as an offensive coordinator, defensive, that's where I think is the head coach should really be the head coach, is that offensive coordinator. So
Yep.
I don't know why any teams are taking other guys before that head coach or before that guy's
So none.
signed. But hey,
None,
yeah,
right?
none. None.
Yeah, I go none, but you know what? I always flirt with Urban Meyer because Urban Meyer is not about his coaching ability, but coaches, when you become a head coach, you bring in people that you trust around you that enjoy that help give you that level of success. And I don't know if Bieniemy has anybody like that, but I know Urban Meyer does. And everywhere he goes, it's like Bill Parcells, right? Who did he have? He had Charlie Weiss, he had Bill Belichick, he had Tom Coughlin as his wide receivers coach. So when he went to New England, he brought Belichick with him. So it was maybe Meyer, and I have no logical reason to suggest that because we don't really have any success for him in the NFL. He's been a college coach,
Right.
But Urban Meyer only because it's a rookie quarterback and because you could still set up that college style environment with a young team like that. Just get rid of Minshew, man. Just cut him and pay him off and do what you got to do with that guy. Quick question. NFL, is Scotty Miller the real threat wide receiver for the Bucs right now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Scotty Miller, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay
Yeah.
Bucs. Between him,
I was-
Godwin, Brown, Evans, is he the real wide receiver
Dark horse.
threat?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was very surprised to see him, and it's funny when people talk about certain people on the field. Archie Goodwin being like, that guy. He and Mike Evans being the 1 and 2. This season he didn't have a great season. For me, it's like it's the eyeball test. When I get, when I see people on the field, I just see who's killing it. Cole Beasley was that kind of guy. Who was like, who is this guy on the Cowboys so long ago, and he was just crushing it. But yeah, I think it's the same way where Miller's, on the eye test, man, he is fast, man, he's got hands, man, he runs good routes. I think that's what you need. I think there's too much firepower there, and I think they're probably going to trade away Godwin after this year. So yeah, I think he's definitely that X factor because when you have two really good wide receivers, all those underneath routes are going to be wide open. So yeah, he's going to be that guy who's going to eat.
Yep. I gotta say yes. He runs 4.4 on the 40, and he's been a threat last year when Jameis Winston was there. Just Jameis Winston didn't choose to throw to him, and Brady's like, wait, Brady likes his short white guys, man. Referring to another sports talk guy, Skip Bayless, who's one of my least favorite guys, called it in the beginning, like, hey, watch for this guy. You don't know. And he says, you don't know what I know, and it turns out he was right. Yeah, gotta go with that, but reserve the right to change my mind for the beginning of next season when they have a full preseason and Antonio Brown's completely healthy, and Evans is completely healthy, and wow, it's just if they have enough money to keep all of them, that's cool, And I really hope Buffalo keeps Cole Beasley because in a world of trading up and trying to find room to get a running back or get this person, some people get lost, but there's not a better slot receiver in the NFL this year than Beasley was.
Not this past game, though.
No.
You got to get your fluids in, boy.
Yeah, man. Well,
Come
even
on,
then,
that's
he was
bad.
still the leading receiver. He had like seven
Yeah.
catches for 88 yards. But just man, Kansas City, the defense is a different animal. Quick question, Rob: Are the Clippers better than the Lakers right now? Yes or no?
Lakers. I mean, honestly, I do believe so, and that's purely because Kawhi Leonard's playing real basketball again. I don't know what the heck he was doing last year, but it just wasn't. It wasn't him. So, they look like they're flowing a lot better, and the Lakers are trying to play the we were good enough last year, we're going to do it again this year game. So,
Good luck.
I don't think that's smart. I think they need to even if you're not playing, or even if you're not around the team, or you're not playing your best ball, at least being in the locker room and being there for your teammates is important. So maybe the Lakers are just kind of giving you some feints, some like, oh, they got holes, they might not make it this year, and then they come on strong at the end. But I just really like the Clippers right now, playing better basketball. Finally, Paul George and Kawhi look like they're somewhat could be together and be successful. So
Yeah.
I definitely like the Clippers.
Well, are the Clippers a better team than the Lakers right now? I say yes. Will they be the better team in the playoffs? Question of fact, I still think it's the Lakers. But is it a question? Yeah. Quick question, they are the better team than the Lakers right now. I'm reposing this question after watching a whole week with James Harden and Kyrie Irving and these guys. Will the Nets win the East with James Harden?
I mean, yeah, just because the Bucs don't look so great.
I gotta go yes now. Quick question, UFC. Should Poirier fight Chandler for the vacant title? Khabib already says he's not coming back. Dana still has him listed as Khabib as the champ, and Dana's still calling all these meetings. But you don't understand these Russian dudes and their religion and their commitment to family. If he's done, he's done.
Yeah, I mean, also if he wants a GSP fight, he's probably gonna be done. So,
Yep.
Poirier,
Chandler.
I mean,
what do you
that's
think?
kind of what they were talking about in the pre-presser, is that this is kind of like a 4-person tournament. Maybe add in Gaethje and Tony Ferguson, and whoever takes the crown takes the crown.
Nice.
So
Cool.
I think so.
Well, that's the end of Quick Question. And now on this segment of Before We Go, Henry Aaron died at 86 years old. He was the home run king before his record got shattered by Bonds.
No, it didn't.
Thank you. Okay, you said it. Cool. You said it. I like it. And I'm gonna give you the floor in a minute. I just want to do some. I just want to say one interesting thing about the home run king. If you take away all of his home runs, he still has 3,000 hits. He's still he's still, in my opinion, first ballot Hall of Famer. And back then it was secret ballots. You didn't know who the voters were. And I honestly want the names of the people that did not, that didn't think he was a unanimous choice for Hall of Fame. And that's the one thing I want to say about him. By the way, 3,000 death threats a day when he was pursuing it.
I think
3,000 letters, death letters.
that has a lot to do with it, and this is also like, because I was a baseball player before I was a volleyball player, and this is like, he was one of my all-time favorite players. Everybody talks about Willie Mays and African American baseball players, or like Satchel Paige, or some of the all-time greats, Jackie Robinson. For me, like this guy, because it was a little bit closer to the modern day era of crushing home runs, but he's still he took off Babe Ruth from, the all-time home run hitters list. And I mean, if anybody knows anything about baseball, if you can break a Ruth record of anything, it's like, monumental in the game, because Babe Ruth is known as, the immortal one in baseball. So
he just pointed at right field, man. Tell you where it's going. Yankee Stadium, that right field is like,
craziness.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it was just very emotional because, Yeah, you have Barry Bonds, that whole fiasco with breaking the home run record, and he even being a great sport and cheering him on and being happy for him. It's just you know people of color or people of minority, you don't see those types of people anymore who have so much, that crazy resilience, that tough skin, tougher skin than you could ever imagine. It's I love to see that, and things have changed, and that type of toughness and perseverance is in other ways now in modern day athletes. But the good old fashioned, put your pull yourself up by the bootstraps, put yourself in the right position to succeed. They don't have that nowadays. So I love that. He's kind of, that age is kind of dying out, that generation, but
Yeah.
the memories what go on. So
Well, it's
more.
definitely changed because people like Hank Aaron and Jackie Robinson, and I should just say Aaron. To quote Chris Rock, baseball's changed racially because now an African American is allowed to be in the league and suck. You're allowed to suck now. Before you to be an African American in the league, you had to invent the Rawlings. Or you had to innovate the Louisville Slugger baseball bat or something. So, and that's really in comedic form. I thought that was very, very interesting. That now, because back in the day, you could be a white player and still collect a check, but you had to be a Jackie Robinson or better to from the migration from the Negro Leagues to the major leagues. I believe it was in 1952 or 54. And before one last tidbit, Phil Rivers retired. And I just wanted to run out some fun stats about him. He was second in the league in consecutive starts.
Only two.
Yeah, all time. Fifth all
Oh,
time in touchdown passes and fifth all time in total yards, 63,440. You got Manning, you got Brady. Brady and Breeze are still doing a two-horse race, which is why none of them are quick to retire. I think one of them wants that, and they're like whoever's in the league last, whoever retires first is gonna lose that. So you got Brady, Breeze, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre, and then you got Phil Rivers at 63,440. Touchdown passes 421. Amazing career, and good for him. Rob, anything you want to say to our beautiful audience before we leave?
stay safe, stay
Go
happy.
ahead. Stay safe, stay happy. Yo, love you, dude. I love you, but I'm not sure if I love any of these people, all right? So for all of you at home, we're out of here, okay? This is episode 52. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. That's Rob, keeping McLean. I'm Jason DeBias. Turn off your iPad, turn off your cell phone, turn off your laptop, turn off your desktop. And we're out.